Good evening, everyone. Just wait for a few people to jump in. And let's see if we can make sense of what's going on, eh? Right, looks like we're good to go. Welcome to the Hammers Chat Debrief Show. Gio needs a bit of time to process things, I think. So he's asked me to jump on and do a quick video and see if I can do a different type of debrief show to what we've been seeing from every other channel at the moment. Everyone seems to be saying the same things, and I'm going to try and give a slightly different opinion on it and just see. I want to talk to you lot and see if there's any way that we can give ourselves some hope. No, I'm not Scottish. That is absolutely bang on. Kevin Locke, how are you, mate? Hope you're good. Ryan Chapman, good to see you in as well. Always appreciate you jumping in and showing some support. Now, there's a big comment right there. Point is, there's a lot of points still to play for. And I know everybody is seeming the same, that we're relegated, we're down. Way too early for that for me. I know you'd be mad to think we're in a good position and not be realistic of where we are. And that's the worst thing, right? The worst thing is to not be realistic. That's what puts you in these positions. I actually think Gio, I was reading the chat there, sorry. I actually think a decision should have been made earlier than this. And yeah, it's a very tough ask, isn't it? It's a massive, massive turnaround that we need. It's going to be another great escape if we were to do it. I mean, we are looking like we're dead and buried. But I certainly wouldn't accept, and I really wouldn't accept the players, whoever's in charge. Seems like it's still going to be Nuno at the moment. It don't seem like there's any movement there. So I ain't accepting it from him. I ain't expecting it from the players. I ain't expecting it from anyone at the club. We cannot have a defeatist attitude. We can't have... Yeah, we just can't feel that way. And I think I want to get started on the debrief of last night with that stadium. And it's very, very unlike West Ham. From what I know and all my years on supporting West Ham, and I will come back to some of the questions that are in the chat at the moment. But when I come back to West Ham, we're fighters. We're never people who give up. We're not the type of people who shy away from a fight. And yeah, I saw that stadium. I saw how empty it was. And our fans would go anywhere. And I know it was cold. And I know it was icy. And I know there weren't a lot of reason to go out of our way to get over there last night. But we always would have turned up in the past. If there was a big game like last night where it's a must-win game, we would normally get behind them. Look at where we've travelled to. We've travelled to all over dodgy parts of Europe when we were in the Conference League and early stages of Europa League and so on. And we always turn up in masses. We all turn up in numbers. And even when we went down to the Championship the last time, I've got a frame which has got all the tickets. I went to every single game when we got relegated to the Championship. It's got every single ticket in there. And those that will remember, it was the year when the Cockney Rejects done their reunion gig at the East Ham Working Man's Club. And I've got that ticket at the bottom. It sort of marked the end of the season. And I remember the Cockney Rejects tickets selling for an absolute fortune on eBay. It was quite comical, actually. But I loved that season. We went absolutely everywhere, every away game. Didn't stop. And yeah, this sums it up for me. It's what they've taken from us. Our spirit and hope have been crushed. I feel like the reason it was last night is because it ain't the same West Ham that we knew. It's not the same badge. It's not the same. It just doesn't feel like the West Ham that we all knew and loved. And it's not the same stadium, just all round. It's, I think that's why, for the first time, I've seen us up against it and the fans not behind them. It's the first time in all my years of supporting West Ham, even when we've been through bad times before, it always felt like the fans were always with them. I remember getting relegated to the Championship when we just had unbelievable attendances and we got right behind them and roared them back onto the Premier League. So we're not proud of what we have anymore. We're not proud of that badge. We're not fighting for that badge anymore. And that it was all right them erasing our history. It was all right them taking everything that West Ham was about away. And I always said to them, when we went on that European journey and all of a sudden you couldn't get tickets. You couldn't get tickets for away games. You couldn't get tickets for the European games. You couldn't get tickets for nothing. And all of a sudden, every celebrity suddenly was a West Ham fan. There was rappers and TV celebrities who you'd never seen at a West Ham game before. All of a sudden, you'd see them in the away ends and you'd see them in the European games. And I always said to them, with what you've done and how you've pulled West Ham apart and turned your back on those people who would have been there through thick and thin and you could be rock bottom on 0 points and they would have done everything to get over there last night. You better not go through an hard time again, because when you go through the bad times and you've turned your back on all those staunch people and they ain't there anymore, you're going to get a big, big shock. And I don't know whether they felt like no matter what type of football you play, no matter what brand of football you play, no matter what the weather's like, whether they thought they'd sell enough tickets that the tourists would all get over there and spend the money and go in the club shop and steal whatever. But they got a big reality check last night, massive. And it's one that they actually deserved, to be perfectly honest with you. And it was always going to be the case. And this is what always made me worried. I've never been worried about relegation. I had a fantastic season when we went down before. New stadiums, proper football stadiums, no VAR like we had last night and all of that sort of stuff. But the reason I'm worried this time is I don't think we've got that same West Ham that would get behind them, and we haven't got Upton Park, and it could end up being, well, it could be an absolute travesty, and we could see our football club into a point of no return. So that's what worries me. So because of that, and because we literally can't afford to go down in case that happens, what choice do we have? We have to get behind them. We have to fight. We have to believe. And we have to find a way out of this. Now, it annoys me because the signings that we've made so far, for me, are not the type of signings that you want to make when you're banging trouble. You want to go and sign either proven Premier League players or people who know English football. Whether you go and sign the best current striker from the Championship, who's full of confidence and ready for that step up. Whether you go and sign someone of experience. I saw today that by tearing up the contract with Wilson, he might go to Leeds. I mean, imagine him going to Leeds and start going on a scoring run, building a partnership with Calvin Lewin or whatever. And then, you know, that's what sends us down. Imagine Callum Wilson coming back on the last game of the season against Leeds, us having to beat them, and Callum Wilson goes and scores. Can you imagine it? Yeah. It's mad. Right, Frankie, the question is, what are we? Living in Sweden, still miss the East Ham Working Man's Club? Yes, absolutely. And I used to travel to Sweden a lot for football. So I've seen a lot of the derbies out there, Iacor, Djurgården, Hammarby. I've seen a lot of football matches out in Sweden, and they love their football out there. It's good. Yeah, what are we? I don't know what we are. Look, Nuno come out in the pre-Christmas podcast on the West Ham United channel and said the one thing I agreed with Nuno. He turned around and said, we don't have an identity, and that's a problem. And I absolutely agree with him. And it's all right him saying that, but what identity is he trying to give West Ham? The thing is, it's a cultural thing, isn't it? It comes right from the top. They set the culture from the right up the top of what we're going to be, how we're going to conduct ourselves, what type of club we want to be. Fortunately, they haven't got a clue. Not a clue on what we should be. We don't know what type of music to play. In fact, I have heard the music improve pre-match at the moment. I've heard them play some better songs. I did hear them play in the, I can't remember the cup final song, which I absolutely love. Look, there's things that change, and there's a lot that they can change. The board need to turn around and need to give the fans something to fight for here. And they've gone very quiet like they do when the going gets tough. And like I've said, the big things that they could do right now is go and remove that wall between the home fans and the away fans. That other night, why they didn't close off up lots of the upper tier in terms of tickets, I don't really understand. We've got to try and fill the bottom of that stadium. Just having all those empty seats all the way around was ridiculous, and it's just going to kill the atmosphere. So the board have got a lot of work to do, and they've got to show us something as well. But they never seem to manage to do the right things at the right times. So it is what it is. And I was just talking about Callum Wilson maybe going to Leeds, and you better believe he'll score. It's exactly like the sort of thing that happens to West Ham. It is just typical West Ham. But at the end of the day, if you agree to let him go, and he's then entitled to go sign for whatever club he wants. But again, probably didn't even cross our board's mind that we might let him go and he might go to one of our relegation rivals. Like, he could have gone to Forest, he could have gone to Leeds, could have gone anywhere. They wouldn't even cross their minds because they're that dumb and they're that clueless that it wouldn't have even registered. So yeah, debriefing last night. First half, I didn't think it was too bad. It was certainly an improvement on the Wolves game. Definitely had more fight. Definitely seemed like we were more organised. I actually think Soucek coming in the midfield help us. So yeah, I think he made a few changes, and the few changes probably were the right ones. And then Soucek does what Soucek does, makes a nuisance of himself and gets near something. He does get a little touch, obviously an own goal, but you take that. And it was a great footing for us. And I thought, right, here we go. But from there, I just feel again, just some silly decisions. We have a good first half. I think, right, here we go, ready to kick on. And then we come out, and I actually thought we were on the front foot. We're getting some success. Somerville's making a nuisance of himself. I thought Fernandez was playing really well. Our back line were trying to get the ball out confidently and trying to play it. I thought Scholes was doing well. I actually thought everything was okay. And we go in at half-time, and I think, right, we've got something to build on here. I'm happy at half-time. This is good. And then we come out and do that same old thing where we sit back. And for the first however long it was, 15 minutes, we didn't have a shot. We went back to that again, not attacking, not creating chances, sitting deep, and I couldn't believe it. And then, because you're not taking the game to them, because you're not, something goes against you. And, this is what I've been saying for weeks now, that you can't, when you're down there, this is the sort of thing that happens. Things go against you. You don't get the rub of the green. So you've got to take it into your own hands. You've got to keep attacking. You've got to keep trying to score goals and make it so when these things that happen that go against you come along, that it doesn't, like you're a couple of goals ahead by that time. But at the end of the day, we do try and get that second goal. Somerville, I went mental at this stage because Somerville needed that boost as well. I actually thought he worked really hard. All he needed was that bit of confidence, just scoring a goal, and I just felt like he could really kick on from there. At 2-0, I just thought this is done. I thought we've done it. And then how that goal is ruled out, I can't get my head around. I'm not putting that on the blame. look, it's a big moment. And obviously then we find ourselves level a few minutes afterwards. And that is really, really tough to take. Martin Allen was talking the other day and doing some stories before the match. And he said how when you're down there and you're in these fights, that when things go against you, the energy just drains out of you. He said it's really, really tough. And moments like that is just, yeah, how does that make you feel? You think you're 2-0 up, and then before you know it, it's 1-1. Very, very difficult. But even at that stage, it's not done. And I couldn't believe Fernandez come off. Look, okay, I think he had picked up a bit of a knock, and fair enough. But at that point in time, Soucek, for all of what he'd done good and for all of what he'd brought to the midfield, he couldn't even get close to the play anymore. He was out on his legs, hadn't played 90 minutes for a long time, hadn't played first team football for a while, and he looked just absolutely done, shattered, just, yeah, it was time to bring him off. And we left him out there, and Fernandez was picking up all those niggly tackles that you need him to make, all those little things that make the difference, that when you're under pressure, he was coming in and winning the ball back, and it was just taking that pressure off us. He was so important in that midfield, Fernandez, and him coming off and Soucek staying on, I did fear the worst. And then before you know it, because we've got a midfield who can't get close to the play anymore, Pablo's had to try and get back, makes what's a typical attacker's challenge in the worst place that you can do it. And yeah, unfortunately, that was what led to Areola and his absolute crazy mistake. So it's, yeah, it was just one of them nights where, you know, it went against us. But I saw the new boys, and I wanted to see something, because a lot of people had pinned our survival chances on the window. This was the opportunity to bring new bodies in, to give us what we need to try and kick on and turn our season around. And my fear of that, and I've been whinging for weeks, and I've been moaning. It's been really annoying me that when I feel like games were there to be won, we haven't gone and tried to win them. We haven't tried to win them. We've sat off. In all those games where we've picked up draws, we haven't actually tried to finish the game off and try and win it. So it was so frustrating me, because I thought, at the end of the day, it's all right just writing these games off and letting these points slip away. But I don't trust this board to go and sign what we need to turn it around by bringing in new players. I never believed that they would go out and make the right signings. And I kept saying it, we've got to bring in proven Premier League players, not players that we can wait to get up to speed with the Premier League, not players that need time to settle in. We need proven Premier League players. You're going to have to go and pay through the roof for it. You're going to have to pay them big wages. You're going to have to put in relegation clauses that are a big gamble, because they're going to look at your position you're in, and they're going to want a relegation clause in there and everything else. But we had to do it. And what people are saying here as well, they're absolutely right. We were told that Pablo was the more attacking man, and Tati is more of the false 9, 10 link-up man. We played them the other way round. Why were they playing the opposite way? I don't get it. Look, this is very wishful thinking here. Both strikers will come good. I mean, we've not had a striker come good in how long? I'm not seeing any traits from those two that make me feel like they will come good in the Premier League. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. I've always said you've got to have something about you in the Premier League, whether it be pace. I don't think either of them have got blistering pace. Whether it be really good strength, I don't see like they've got the strength. I'm not sure what either of them has, if I'm totally honest. That's gonna and I'll go as far as, and I'm going to put my neck on the line here. And people on YouTube don't like to make these sort of things. I come out and said with Fulkrug that he would never get 10 Premier League goals. He didn't. and I got some real stick for that. And I ended up having the bet with Gio. I wouldn't be surprised if neither Pablo or Tati score a goal between now and the end of the season. I think you could wait a very, very, very long time for either of those players to score. And I think we're going to end up needing Jared Bowen to play down the middle as a striker, because I think he'll be our last hope as a striker now. I think that's what we're going to end up with. I think that's what we're going to have to resort to. And look, I don't mind it. Jared can be a nuisance down there. But yeah, it's not me being, miserable about them. I just don't think they're good enough. And that's it. So we'll see. So what is the answer then? So that's kind of the debrief. We've debriefed last night. We've come away in the worst position possible. We're well adrift now. That 6-point swing was a real kick in the stomach. I mean, it's made our job 10 times harder than it would have been if we could have got a result last night. So what do? We've signed our strikers. We've rolled the dice on our strikers now. I don't think that's going to change. I think our forwards that we've got at West Ham right now are what we've got until the end of the season. So somehow we've got to get a tune out of those. How we do that, I don't know. We know that we kind of feel like we need a centre half and we need someone to come in so we can stop shipping goals like we are and stop looking so leaky at the back. We've kind of been linked with a goalkeeper, which I wasn't that bothered about. I still feel like while Areola's an excellent shot stopper and he made an unbelievable save last night, I just think you can't be one-dimensional in the Premier League. If you want to play at the top level, you've got to have more than just being a good shot stopper. You've got to have distribution. You've got to have being able to come and command your box. You've got to have all of these things. So normally a good defence is built from having a solid goalkeeper that the people in front of them can trust. So, yeah, it is what it is. But like I said, I know that I can't write us off yet. I'm not writing us off yet. We need a big swing in results. We've got to start picking up points, and we've got to pick up points as quickly as possible. I did feel after last night, and I have felt for a long time, that Nuno going is our best chance of doing that. And I've heard a few people talking today. Do we want West Ham identity back? And if we go down, at least we go down as West Ham. Get someone in. Who remembers, and well, there'll be a lot of people who remember it, but when Trevor Brooking came in and tried to keep us up, and he just went free up front, we're going to attack, and we took the game to teams, and he had went on this unbelievable run, and unfortunately, it just wasn't enough, but he nearly pulled it off, and we need something similar to that. It would be so good to see someone come in who, just went for it and just went, do you know what? We've got nothing to lose anymore. What I don't want to do is sleepwalk into relegation. I don't want to see Nuno keep playing out for draws and just feeling like every point matters, or feeling like goal difference matters. And, if we go 2-0 down to God forbid, I still think we might get a result at Tottenham, and I know people will think I'm mad, but Tottenham ain't that good. And that's the sort of game where West Ham will turn up and do something and surprise people, and they'd be absolutely gutted. So, I don't want to see us go 2-0 down to a team and then think, right, we're going to shut up shop and just try and, not allow the goal difference to go, oh, Leeds are winning. That's not good. Not allow the goal difference to go backwards. Just try and kick on. Try and get 2 goals. Try and get us back into it. Try and nick a draw. I don't want us to keep playing this negative, just cautious football. I want to see us do what Trevor Brooking done. We've got nothing to lose. Let's go free up front. Let's attack every single game. Points ain't going to be enough anymore. That draws, forget them. They're no good to us. We've got to find wins. And the way we'll find wins is by trying to have a go. Look exactly what Leeds do, exactly what these other teams are doing, trying to have a go and trying to win football matches. And that's what we've got to get onto. So, look, I know a lot of people want Nuno out. I'm not keen on Nuno. I was never keen on Nuno in the first place. But I've got to the point where I don't care anymore who's in charge. It's all about how we go about things now. So if Nuno is going to stick around, whatever, I'll get behind the team. I ain't going to keep calling Nuno out. But he's got to try and win football matches. He's got to start attacking. He's got to start trying to get goals. We can't keep having this no shots on target nonsense. We've got to try and get on the front foot and get in teams' faces and take the game to them. And if Nuno's going to do that, then that's fine. You know, we'll just say, right, that's what we've got to do until the end of the season. If he isn't going to do that, and he is going to carry on with this approach that he's had, which has put us in this position, to be quite honest, look, it's a big accumulation of things. We know it's years of lack of investment. We know it's years of lack of planning. We know all of this sort of stuff. We know it, right? But at the end of the day, his writing off of games or not trying to win games and accepting points, and what he did at Bournemouth when we're 2 goals ahead and he just took every single attacking player off and just played every man behind the ball, and then they ended up getting 2 goals back. That no good. Absolutely no good. If that's his plan, we've got to get rid of him, and we've got to bring someone in who's got a bit of character, who probably has some sort of affiliation to West Ham and knows what it means to be West Ham, and gets a bit of fight from them and gets us trying to do things in the right way. I don't care if we haven't got enough quality in the squad. I don't care if people say our midfield hasn't got enough creativity. I don't care any of it. Just have a go. Just take the reins off them and let them try and play football. Let them just go at teams and give it a go. That's what I want to see. So, right, let's go to the chat now. We'll take some questions from the chat for the next sort of 10 minutes, and then we shall wrap it up. Clayton says, with our new strikers, we have to play 4-4-2. And, you know, again, like I said, when Trevor Brooking come in, he went 4-4-3-3. He went, right, let's just have it. I agree. We need a more attacking formation. We need another 2 strikers on the pitch, and we need to try and win football matches. That's it. Joe says, don't get the fuss about Carrick. I think Carrick looked really good under Middlesbrough for a while. The rain's come off there in the end, but that was a tough old gig that he had there. He didn't have the same money as other teams around him, but he almost done the job. I like Carrick. He's a thinker. He's an intelligent man. He was a bit understated as a football player, and I think he's understated as a manager. Carrick, for me, is the manager that you pick once you're already down. If it's the end of the season, Nuno's gone, we're relegated, I would entrust Carrick to bring us back to the Premier League, and I would. But I wouldn't roll the dice with Carrick now. Ryan says, who would be your managerial pick? I don't really do this, mate. So tell you what gets me. I'm not a world football scout. I'm not someone who goes out there and knows every single manager in. But what annoys me is these other teams seem to find managers that you've never heard of, that you don't know the name of them or whatever else, and they come in and they do a fantastic job. So look, it ain't my responsibility, it ain't my job, it's not my expertise. But there are people involved in football who do go and highlight these managers who come to the Premier League and do a fantastic job. So that's why I don't buy that's the who's out there rubbish, because there's plenty of managers out there. You just got to have someone who knows what they're doing to go and highlight one and bring them in. All right, what else have we got? MJ Hammer says, sees Carrick as more of a Man United Spurs. Yeah, I do too, to be honest with you. It was funny. When Carrick was with us, he said that he'd never leave us other than Newcastle, because he was a Newcastle fan when he was a young boy. He said he'd never leave West Ham unless it was Newcastle. And like you say, he did become more of a Man U and Spurs man. So I do agree with that. All right, what else have we got? Bellamy, do you know what? I'm not sure he's a bit chaotic, is old Bellamy. But the way he speaks about West Ham, he always speaks really well about us. If when someone speaks, you think, yeah, you got it. You know what we're about. Like when we talk about the West Ham way and someone goes, oh, yeah, what's the West Ham way? You don't get it. You don't get it. You go and listen to Bellamy talk and you go, yeah, you understood what West Ham was all about, mate. It's hard to put it into words. It's a feeling. It's why people like Repka left, and on his last game, he was in floods of tears. How many people leave and are in tears when they leave West Ham and stuff like that? So it's just something that it's hard to explain. But when people like Bellamy talk, you go, yeah. Joe Cole's another one. The way Joe Cole talks about West Ham, he just gets West Ham. So Daniel says, who would you want as captain next year? I think regardless, I think we've got to sign a captain. I don't think we've got anyone currently who is captain material. So I feel like we need to sign a leader. I think that is it's been a big problem. We knew that this situation when Declan Rice left, even when Declan Rice was here, who else would you give it to? That's been another lack of planning and a lack of foresight from the board. That is another reason why we are where we are. If we're throwing Bellamy, would you not throw Martin Allen vibes? Martin Allen's coaching is fantastic. I've seen him coach, and how he coaches is genius. Nothing short of genius. He is just, when you see his sessions and how they have a flow, like as soon as the players walk on the pitch and he starts getting them to do the first part of the session, it then leads on to something else and something else and something else. And it all builds up to an end goal of what he wants. He is brilliant. I mean, he always had the reputation of saving teams from trouble. So look, it would never happen, unfortunately. But he is a character. I absolutely love him to bits. And yeah, he would certainly shake things up a bit, that's for sure. Scott Parker, yeah, he's another one, isn't he? What we got here? Would there be chance of Thomas Frank, as it looks like it won't last at Spurs? Yeah, I don't quite know why that hasn't worked out, to be honest. I haven't paid much attention to Spurs. I never pay any attention to Spurs. I love football. I watch a lot of football, but Spurs isn't any football that I ever take any interest in. So can't really comment what's gone wrong there. But when he went there, I thought they were going to turn into a real force. And it's just been a real, I don't know, just hasn't gelled at all, is it? So, no, I don't think he'll last there. But I don't think that's on the radar at the moment either. All right. Brian Flowers says, Frankie, unless we bring in 2 quality centre-backs, we are not winning again, pal. I mean, it certainly makes life difficult with how leaky we are. So, yeah, it's a tough one. Ryan said, is the door behind you a walk-in wardrobe? No, it's a stock room. One of my businesses, we build sports cards repacks. So we put rare cards into products and we sell them, and that's a stock room for the cards. So that's what that is. Drew Moment said, I used to watch him coach Gillingham. He's pure cinema. Absolutely. But he kept teams up, didn't he? It was kind of his speciality. It's what he did, keep teams from going down. Frankie Joe says, Frankie, next manager needs to be a younger manager with fresh ideas. We have to move. No, we do, but that's timing, isn't it? So, i.e. now, what do people normally sign when you're in these positions? It's just get you out of trouble managers. Short term. The time for a fresh manager, younger manager with fresh ideas would have been the beginning of the season. That's when that should have happened. But you're never going to get a young manager with fresh ideas if they're not given the opportunity to run with those fresh ideas. So if that young manager goes into David Sullivan and says, I need X, Y, and Z, and he looks at them like they're a lunatic and says, mate, I'm the man who's signing your players and I'm the man who has to sign off on this stuff, then it ain't going to happen. So if you get a young manager with fresh ideas, you've got to have a board that backs them, gets it, and gives them the opportunity to make that happen. And that takes time and everything else. It takes years. Like, look at what Arsenal have achieved in 6 years. They were a club who didn't really have a vision. And all of a sudden, they put a plan together. And now they're seeing the fruits of that. So it takes time, this stuff. And you've got to have a real clear plan. You've got to stick with it. And they're now getting their reward for doing it. Tadebo for captain. He's a lunatic. I can't have him captain at all. Frankie, what do you actually do for work? Trying to work it out from everything around you. So I own an advertising agency. That is our main job. But that there is a label printer, which puts labels into sports cards or Pokemon cards. And we encase them and give them a grade for condition. And then we also go live on auction websites where we then buy, sell, trade, auction sports cards. So there's a Man United player, Cheetah OB, with a autograph on it. And that's the sort of thing that we sell. So, yeah. Right, back to the football. Last 5 minutes, everyone, and I'll let you get back to your evenings. Dan Holder says, do we honestly think our owners are capable of getting us back in the Premier League? Not a chance. To be honest, mate, it isn't the owners. I mean, they've done it before, so we can't say that they're not capable of it because we've gone down and they've brought us up. But I feel like it was the fans. I always put it down to the fans. They're just temporarily in charge. The way the fans used to get behind the team in the Championship. I remember going to Wigan. Last game of the season, Brian Dean scored an unbelievable header. We had 7,500 fans at Wigan. Unbelievable support. I think the away support would be the same, but I don't think the home support would be what it was in the Upton Park. So that's going to be tough. And when you want to have title charges or you want to get into playoffs and you get relegated and stuff like that, your home form is the foundation. And I just think it's going to be an awkward place to play when that stadium's half empty. Trudge says, no leaders. Soucek has stepped up, but he is a quiet, gentle giant. Yeah, I did like the way he spoke in his post-match press conference about the Areola foul. I thought he spoke really well. He didn't actually go into a rant. He didn't go into... he didn't lose his head. But he basically just said, if you're going to give that as a foul, there's going to be 20 or 30 in them every single game. Like, absolutely ridiculous. Chris Collins said he'll go with Scott Parker. And he's already got 2 teams up for the Championship. Yeah, it's absolutely, fair point. Penalty Newcastle. How did it go? Newcastle equaliser. Thank God for that. Brian Flowers, we do a lot of business in the US and we do ship to the US, yes. The business name is Stacked and Packed. So you can find Stacked and Packed on Instagram. Everyone's going all card now. We've all had enough of football and everyone's going into card mode. MJ Hammer's 6,000 commentary as well. Yeah, absolutely. 3-3 leads. Well, that is good news. Very, very good news. This is a worrying one. Do agree with that. How they're going to control that? That is a recipe for disaster. So much space, so much. It's very, very difficult to control things at London Stadium because there's so many ways in, so many ways out. So yeah, it would certainly be an interesting one. But like I said, I'm not there yet, everyone. I'm not there. We ain't down yet. I ain't. No, I'm not having the fact that we're that's 100%. We've still got time, and I know we need a miracle, but football's a funny old game and stranger things have happened in football. So West Iron says Gio's at London Stadium right now and talks to become an ex-manager. I mean, he certainly would do a better job, I would imagine. Sanctuary says Pablo and Tati not scoring to the end of the season, question mark, question mark, question mark. Again, I don't. Tati could have played all night last night and wouldn't. We could have played for 10 hours and Tati would not have scored a goal. So he doesn't look like an out-and-out scorer. I always use the stats that are already there. So for me, when I said Füllkrug won't get 10 goals in the Premier League, he never did it in the Bundesliga. The Premier League's a tougher league than the Bundesliga. So why do you expect him to come to the Premier League and get those goals? Tati, I think, what has he scored? 2 goals, like in the last season. So how many goals are he going to get in the Premier League? He's lucky to get 1. That's just how I see it. But like I said, I hope I'm wrong. Rob Wood, love it. Don't know who you support, but you can do it. Beat Spurs and crack on. That's the one. That is it right there. I fancy us against Spurs. As I said, stranger things have happened. Something might just click. If anything's going to click, it would be so amazing to do it against Spurs. They'll be gutted. You know, like when we went into I always try and flip it round. We went into the Nottingham Forest game we went into the Wolves game. Oh, they've not had a game all season. Well, here comes they've not won a game all season. Here comes West Ham. Tottenham would be thinking exactly the same way. Or West Ham can't get a win to save their lives. Here comes Tottenham. It's just the sort of thing West Ham would do. And that's the sort of moment. You go and beat Tottenham, that just could be the catalyst to kick us on. So yeah. Hammer Time says Callum Wilson would have scored more than the 2 signings. I agree. Only because this season, yes, because he knows the Premier League. He knows what's required in the Premier League. He knows how to play in the Premier League. There's no time for him to settle in. He already knows it. And he's already shown that from the half chances he's had that he's, put the ball in the back of the net. So I do agree. Said Leeds won here. Did they win or was it an equaliser? I know they're still going by the look of it. 3-3. And Man United, Burnley drew. Why are Man United giving points to all of the teams around us? But there you go. Pierre Latom said, does anyone think Nuno will start Pablo and Tati? It's a possibility. I think the only way that happens though is if Somerville comes out. If Paqueta went over to the left, Tati comes into the 10 and Pablo up top. I just don't see Nuno ever playing 2 strikers as 2 strikers. I don't see him ever doing it. He don't seem to have it in him. If there was ever an opportunity for him to do it, it was the second half against Wolves. And he didn't seem interested to do it at all. So on that basis, I don't see it. Nuno would only start Buff with 1 drop deeps. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly how I see it. Right then, everyone. We're going to wrap it up. Look, I've listened to a lot of West Ham videos trying to, looking for something after last night. And there was a lot of the same sorts of opinions, but I'm not going with it. And the title of this video was They Think It's All Over. Well, it ain't yet. And there's a lot of football to be played. We could see a start of a great escape when we're Tottenham rock up. So, look, I'm still holding out that we can turn this around. It needs a massive moment to turn our season around and kick us on. Look, I'm not deluded. I do know that it is not looking good and that anyone with half a brain looks at it and thinks West Ham are going down. I get it, completely understand it. But as I said, take any football example you want. Take on Liverpool in the Champions League final in Istanbul. The game looks done, but they didn't give up and they kicked on. It only needed one moment for them to get a goal back, and then it all changes. So, look, I actually think I'm more of a realist. I'm neither an optimist or a pessimist. I always see things in black and white, and what it tells me at the moment is right now, yes, everything's against us and we're in the worst position that we could want to be in, but it only needs a couple of wins and everything could look very, very different. How they're going to come, where they're going to come from, we can sit and debate that. Who knows? But do you know what? This happened last time. So the first time we got relegated, which I don't know what year that would be now, but I struggled with it a little bit. I was at school and all my mates were giving me a bit of stick. And I've got a West Ham tattoo on this arm, which I drew in a classroom, which looks absolutely awful, as you can all see. It is terrible. But that is supposed to say, even though you can't read it, keep the faith. And that's what my dad always used to say to me. He was, keep the faith. And it's always been the motto with West Ham that I've had. And I'm sticking with it. I'm keeping the faith. And yeah, until we are that last game of the season and 38 games have been played and it's all said and done, I'm always going to believe that we have an opportunity to try and turn things around. So, yeah, that's what I'm going with. I'm going to leave it with that, everyone. I hope you all have a good evening. If you're going to QPR at the weekend, have a good day out and roll on Tottenham.